Okay, I'm Alex, and I was the winner of the first Brighton Fantasy Card Games tournament, and I used this Gravekeeper's deck, and just going to show you the cards that I used and just the reason why I chose them. Okay, so starting off with 3 Gravekeeper Spy. This shouldn't need any explanation. You want 3 of the card in this deck. If you don't know what it does, it flips up. Whenever it's flipped, especially as a Gravekeeper with 1500 or less attack from the deck, you want that just because it's so quick. Okay, next is 3 Recruiter. Again, staple card. Searches out all of your other Gravekeepers. If you don't have Necro Valley in hand first turn, if you don't have Commandant in hand first turn, you go for one of these, and then you get Commandant, drop it for Necro Valley. Next is Gravekeeper's Commandant. Haven't got 3 of the ultimates yet, but I do want them. Again, this is all for consistency. Like, you need Necro Valley is the core of this deck. You need it in your hand, and even if you've got all the Necro Valleys that you need, having him as a 2100 attack beater is still pretty good. Plus he's Earth, and when I was at the game, a lot of people were siding in Consecrated Light against me, and that stops all dark monsters. This guy not affected by that. I play 3 Gravekeeper's Assailant. I think I'm the only one I know who plays 3. Some people play 1. I like 3 just because it's something to search out with Recruiter, and also just it gets over any big attack threats. And I mean, a lot of cards are going to have boosted attack these days, and you can easily get over them with Assailant. And again, big defense threats. Plus it's a level 4 dark, and there are some good exceed options there. I run 2 Gravekeeper's Descendants. I toy with running 3, just because this is the card that clears your opponent's field, and if they've got nothing in their hand, then once you've cleared their field, they are really struggling, and they can't get to their graveyard, obviously. So I might run 3, just because, again, level 4, searchable with Recruiter, special summonable with Spy. But for the moment it's 2, and that's done me alright so far. My own little personal choice, I run 2 Tour Guides. I take these in and out of the deck, depending on how I'm feeling, really. Just because it's good for the rank 3 plays. I mean, I did have a moment in the tournament where I was up against the wall, but I drew into Tour Guide, so I could just stall behind Zen Mains, and that lasted me. That gave me all I needed until I drew a Spy and was able to play that. So yeah, I use that. Those are all the monsters. There are 16 monsters, so a bit below the 20 sort of average, but yeah, that's how I play it. Moving on to spells, triple Necro Valley, shouldn't need explaining. This is old text, but yeah, this card is so good, especially in today when you're up against dragons, because you can't remove from the grave and you can't move cards from the grave. So yeah, need those. 1 Royal Tribute, beautiful card. It's a shame it's at 1, but that's just the way the game works. Discards your opponent's hand, which is great unless you're playing Dark World, then it gives you a bit of trouble. But yeah, you have to run this if you're playing Gravekeepers. That's also sort of lends itself to the reason why I only have 16 monsters, because you don't want to open up with a handful of monsters and Royal Tribute, because it just puts you at a bit of a disadvantage. Disadvantage which can be fixed by Gravekeeper's Steel. Really good card, not a lot of people use it. It gets 2 Gravekeepers back from the grave and is unaffected by Necro Valley. This is a brilliant top deck card when you're in the late game, when you really need something, because you can just get anything back. I mean, Spies are a good target, Commandants are a good target if you need another Necro Valley. So yeah, definitely. I run 2, I find 3 is maybe a bit much, but definitely 2. I am running 3 Dualities. This is mainly about consistency. What I like to try and do is try and go for the Royal Tribute play first turn, so the 3 Dualities really helps me with that. Plus I'm not special summoning an awful lot, so the condition doesn't really affect me. So the move up to 3 was greatly appreciated in the last ban list. I run 1 Nightbeam and 1 MST. The Nightbeam I have found is very good, especially when you're playing some like the chainable back rows like Compulse. But yeah, I use that over another MST for now. I might consider playing another MST, especially when we start moving into the Ghost Trick Vampire format when they're using their field spells. But for now, I'm keeping it with the Night Beam, and that seems to be working quite nicely. MST, obviously. I run 1 Allure. Again, this is for me going for my Royal Tribute play first turn. Plus, if I've got a handful of Gravekeepers that I've searched with Recruiter, then it allows me to ditch one of them to get 2 new cards. I also use it on dead tour guides. Like, if I've just got the 1 tour guide in my hand and I've got no other options, then I can ditch the tour guide for that. Or alternatively, I can banish a Gravekeeper, go for the tour guide play, and then get it back with Levier. 1 Book of Moon, very good both against your opponent and for you. Stops their Xyz plays, and also just recycle Spy to your heart's content. Just because, yeah, flip Spy. Well, they attack. It flips Spy, special summon a Recruiter. End of the turn, Book of Moon Spy. Start your turn, flip Spy, and then shenanigans happen basically. Dark Hole, good card. Moving on to the traps. I'm not sure how many spells that was. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 spells. Lastly, traps. I'm going to start with a trap which I feel not many people know about, but every Gravekeeper player should be playing, which is Rite of Spirit. With Monster Reborn gone, this is the greatest thing that you could possibly use. Plus, you shouldn't really be playing Monster Reborn in a Gravekeeper's deck anyway, just because Necro Valley will stop it. If you don't know what it does, it's a normal trap, special summons any Gravekeeper from the grave to your field, and it's unaffected by Necro Valley. The fact that it's a normal trap is just brilliant. If they MST it, you can chain. Like, there's so many options with it. There's no limitations on like attack or defense from your Gravekeepers. So I mean, ideally I'd like to run 3. I just haven't found the 3rd one yet. Annoyed this isn't in holo. It's the 1 holo I need to complete the deck. But yeah, seriously, if you're playing Gravekeepers, guys, run this card. Just end of. So many cards, so many Gravekeepers profiles I see online don't have Rite of Spirit, and I'm just like, where is it? Just because you're missing out. 1 Solemn Warning. Yeah, it's just a good card. I mean, heavy cost, but yeah, it's good for. It's just good, especially with Bottomless at 1 and Compulsory at 1. 1 Mirror Force. Some people might take issue with me on that, but yeah, I find that's good late game, especially when you're facing down a monster wall. I mean, Descendant is good for popping 1 for 1, but when you got 4 monsters against you, you may as well destroy them with Mirror Force. Because Heavy Storm's gone, not a lot of people are playing Starlight Road these days, and so they often don't expect the Mirror Force. Trench of Tribute, similar story, just clearing as many monsters as possible. Plus, if I've got a field with Recruiter on it, then it works for me as well. Deck Devastation Virus, this is essentially my second Royal Tribute. Just getting rid of the low attack monsters. It's very good against Mermails if I can pull it off, just because it gets rid of pretty much all the Atlanteans and the Linders. Yeah, I think I've got another one of these in the side just for the sort of inconsistent plays. It's good. It does work in some circumstances against Fire Fist. But yeah, I run one of that in the main deck. 1 Starlight Road, just because a good Gravekeeper field is 2 monsters. I used to run 2 back when my Heavy Storm was a thing. But having to, yeah, so a good Gravekeeper field is 2 monsters, and you don't want to be going into Torrential Tribute or Mirror Force. I think in one of my first games against Fire Fist, a guy went into Black Rose Dragon, and I showed him that, and then he just scooped. So I was very lucky in that regard. Deep Prison, good card, just very decent trap. You can see that a lot of this is just counter, like any threat that they've got. Bottomless, again, just good card. And lastly, Compulse, just against those Xyz monsters, just gets rid of it, and puts the materials in the grave, where because of Necro Valley, I don't have to worry about them. I think I used to run 2 Torrential, but I've changed that. I'll do the extra deck next. A lot of the extra deck is neither here nor there really. It's just filler because it's very rare that I will exceed. If I do, the card I'll go for will be this card, Master Key Beetle. So much synergy with this deck. 2 dark monsters. Almost all the Gravekeepers are dark if they're level 4. Then you can detach material from it and target a card on the field, and that stops it being destroyed by card effects. The obvious card to go for is Necro Valley in your field zone, just because they'll try and MST it. That will be their main aim. So if you've got this guy protecting it, then that's good. Another thing that I like to do is if I've got a set Torrential, then I target that with it. Then when they summon, I can send that Torrential to the grave instead and keep him around on the field. Plus he's just 2,500 attack dark, so in my side I've got Eradicator. He's also a Deck Devi Virus target. Just a very very good card. Very happy that it's in the game. Rest of the stuff, I've got Evil Swarm Nightmare. I use this just sort of anti-special summon really. Because I mean I'm not going to be special summoning a lot, but they are. I don't pull it out that often, but it is a pretty decent. It's a decent enough card. Maestroke, just because if there's anything that Assailant can't get over, then that'll work. Cowboy for game really. I mean I have had several situations when I've just got less than 800 left to get rid of, and most of my cards are level 4 anyway. Utopia again, just for space really. Next card I do play quite a lot of, which is Abyss Dweller, just because this is for your Dark World, your Mermails. The Dark Worlds are pretty much anti this deck. If you're playing Dark World, you're going to have a bad time. Anti-Mermail, anti-Dark World, very good card. And also, if it's going to be killed by battle, you can detach, and its effect will last for till the end of the turn. Gemnite Pearl. Gemnite Pearl's won me a couple of games actually, partly because I'd have 2 Gravekeepers and I'd go into Gemnite Pearl and they'd have a set Fiendish Chain which they can't hit it with, so that's very useful, and also it's just 2600 beat-ups when you need that extra push. Pappy Operative. It's like Assailant but works on face downs as well, and also has that -400 which does help. Ouroboros, I don't always go into this card. It is good. It has some very decent effects though, and also it's a dark and plus 2,750 attack, so it works for Eradicator. Thanatos, again, don't often go into this card, but it's got its own little Forbidden Lance style effect. Next up are my level 3s. So I've got Acid Golem. Some might call it a desperation play, but this has won me several games. My opponent had a face-up Spirit Reaper in attack mode with less than 3,000 life points left. I went into Tour Guide, had this. He didn't see that coming, which was a relief. Levier, again, these are all Tour Guide things. Just good for it because if they've bottomless something or if they've deprisoned it, gets rid of it. Giga Brilliant. Excellent for giving your other Gravekeepers a boost, makes them all 2,300 at least. I'll tell you what, 2,300, Assailant, nothing really can block that. Zen Mains, shouldn't need explaining for rank 3 really, very good card to sit behind. And lastly, 1 Stardust Dragon as a Starlight Road target, and that's good for protecting Necro Valley as well, if nothing else. Quickly go through the side deck. Side deck is not entirely sort of complete. I've not thought too much about it, but I've just put in a lot of cards which I think really do help. I've got one of each sort of big hand trap, Effect Veiler or Maxi, just for, Dragon plays for Maxi and anything, and stop any nasty OTKs with Effect Veiler. The reason I don't run any hand traps in the main deck is just because of Royal Tribute Dissonance. Fossil Diner, great little card. Christia's pet dinosaur, just works really nicely, just blocking special summons. If they've got an empty field, and I'm a bit unsure about what's in their hand, I'll bring out Fossil Diner just to stop any Gauls or Trag plays. I've got 1 MST in the side. That's just for the spell trap heavy decks. and the field spell heavy decks. I think I sided this in against Fire Fists. Not a lot of people know about this card. Summon limit. Neither player can summon more than 2 times per turn. With Gravekeepers, the only time you're going to be summoning more than once is with something like Spy. You don't really special summon that much, so that works quite nicely. Also, it's chainable, so after they've conducted their first summon or the second summon, you can flip it and just say, right, no more summons this turn. I put 1 Fiendish in the side deck. I toy between using this in the main deck. It worked quite well against Fire Fist for me, just because they were using their bear plays and their gorilla play. Gorilla was a bastard in this, excuse my language, just because it was against Necro Valley, and it would just get rid of it, so Fiendish Chain really helped me there. Soul Drain, lovely little card, good anti-Mermail, good anti-Dark World. Only problem is that it stops my Recruiter plays. Similar story with Macrocosmos. It'll work against Mermail or work against Dark World, stop them blowing up your Necro Valley with Grapha or with Marksman. But yeah, it does stop my Recruiter plays. So I put it in the side, and also just to say that Macro doesn't really hurt me. So yeah. I run 2 each of Gozen and Rivalry. Gozen because pretty much all my Gravekeepers are dark. Rivalry because all my Gravekeepers are Spellcaster. Basically, I just decide this in depending on what I'm playing. If I'm playing against dragons, I'll put those in. If I'm playing against anything else, I'll put those in. And yeah, they're just great fun, especially just if they want to exceed, they often can't when one of these is up on the field, just because the exceed monsters have such different attributes. Next up are Virus cards, 1 Eradicator, 1 Deck Devi, got one of those in the deck already. Eradicator, it works against Exodia, that's the reason I don't have Raw Decree in here, just because I have Eradicator. Deck Devi also works against Exodia. Also, this won me several tournament games against Fire Fist, just because it gets rid of their spells, which are all about the searching and the extra summoning. And I mean, I don't think I need to tell people how good Eradicator was against Prophecy. And the last card, I think it'll be more relevant as the format goes on, really, but Light Imprisoning Mirror. Light Sworn is a big threat in this deck, especially if they can get Necro Valley off the field, because it really just allows them to go off on one. They start summoning their BLS. So Light Imprisoning puts a little stop to that, stops the Lila dead in its tracks. Yeah, and that is pretty much it. It's not completely complete. It changes all the time depending on A, how I'm feeling, and B, what the meta looks like. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Thanks very much for watching.
Remember to like and subscribe, Team Ruby Pony and Riddler's Game. Thank you.